Civil rights is pure profit. The average nigga in the hood think he Warren Buffett. I had enough of it. Through the first 50 hit me. Police can come and get me, but somebody coming with me. Check 1, 2. If the shit don't stop, in another 50 years there won't be no hip hop.
You heard it here first. Live from Audio Coke News, Legacy City. Yeah.
Yo, what up, everybody? Welcome back to the Willy Bobo Show. It's your man, Ox the Light. Tonight, I got it superiorly, and I will use that word superiorly, only because of the fact that he's got bloodline and genetics, so you know that the cat is awesome, right? My little brother, D. D, thank you for coming on the show.
No problem.
Love you, baby. You know what I'm saying? And
Much love, bro.
Thank you, man. My little brother, Delano, man, is a Pokémon genius. Of course, along also with being a superior artist, and he makes some incredible tracks also, yo. So little bro is going to educate me tonight on the expansive world, and of course you understand the worldwide world of Pokemon. And so I didn't really realize exactly how many there are, the different types of eccentric battles you get into, the money that can be made from it, right? And then of course, you know, the intermingling of so many different people from so many different walks of life that you don't ever really consider, right? You know, and you meet these individuals, man, and it builds this massive network of just cool people. You know what I mean? So, Del, introduce yourself, man.
So, my name is Delano Hyman, 36 years old. You know, been playing Pokemon since the beginning. You know, This is a very exciting time of my life. You know, I appreciate my big brother for having me on the show. This is going to be a good time.
Indeed. We'll get it, baby. We'll get it. So, considering, you know what I'm saying, that you really are in the midst of Pokemon at your age, what was your first memory of Pokemon?
So, my first memory, right? So, there was this commercial that came on TV, and it was this bus driver, you know, and he stops at this bus stop, and he was like, "Hey, little buddy, you wanna ride?" So, this is a Pikachu getting on board, you know. And at the time, I'm like 8, 9 years old. And, you know, as the Pikachu get on the bus, you see all these Pokemon like Charizard, you know, Caterpie, Ekans and stuff like that. And they're excited, you know, for Pikachu to get on board. So the bus driver closed the door and, you know, make this right turn. And he stops. He was like, "Hold on, I'll be right back." So he presses this red button and there's this compactor, you know, squishing the bus. You know, and as it squished the bus, there was this announcer, you know, that comes on TV. And he was like, "You want to collect all 150 Pokemon?" He was like, you know, as the bus, you know, compacts it, you know, it turns into a Game Boy. He was like, "On your Game Boy, that's where. Collect all 150 Pokemon. Pokemon Red and Blue coming out soon." I was like, man, this is it.
Okay.
This is that.
Okay. That's what's up. So you got into Pokemon by seeing, you know, that incredible commercial, and we understand marketing draws people, right?
Right.
So, you know, you got games, you got cards, and so with it, is it also anime?
Right. That's correct. And at that time, you know, people didn't really know what Pokemon was, you know.
Mhm.
So it took actually the anime to come out and for kids like me at that age to watch the anime. You know, that's something that was able to be marketed to the kids. Nobody knew what Pokemon was. And me doing research years later, the games actually came out first. And then it was the anime.
Yeah.
But in order for kids to know what, and for kids to know exactly, you know, what the game was, they had to release the anime. You see what I'm saying? So at that time, you know, I didn't know what Pokemon was until the anime came out and then seeing that commercial as well.
So who's your all-time favorite Pokemon and why?
It's Mewtwo. It's Mewtwo all day long. So you gotta understand, Mewtwo is a genetically engineered Pokemon to be the strongest, unmatched in his psychic abilities. You know, he also learns how to, you know, battle and adapt without a Pokemon trainer or master at all. And, you know, there's this debate about whether Mewtwo is compared to a Pokemon or human or neither, because of his emotional complexity and awareness of his power.
So this guy's kind of almost like a Pokemon Professor Xavier.
Right.
Okay, bet that. So, what main character series Pokemon game is the best to buy? For somebody really give it to somebody that you would say is just now getting into it, you know
That's
what I mean? For a
ooh,
beginner, what would be the best?
when it comes to a main series game, okay. And what I look for in a game in general, what message are you trying to convey? It's actually Generation 5. And Generation 5 is the black and white series. And it's the storytelling and the characters, that are very engaging. The narrative explore things like morality, free will, ethics of Pokemon battles. And there's this team in black and white, called Team Plasma. They question whether trainers should be able to keep Pokemon at all. The box legendaries, Reshiram and Zekrom, they symbolize truth and ideals, adding further depth into the story. You also have, the greatest designs of Pokemon with competitive viability, like Hydreigon, Excadrill, Volcarona, Chandelure, and Ferrothorn. And let me just talk about the soundtrack. The soundtrack with these games. Let me paint you a picture. If you say in the previous games that when you go to fight a gym leader or Elite Four members or legendary Pokemon, you realize to use caution. When you come up to these battles. And in Gen 5, the music hits so hard, you're like, oh snap, I'm in danger. Let me tighten up. You see what I'm saying? So when it comes to actual, the game to get, the main series game to get, look for Gen 5 Pokemon Black and White or its sequel, Black and White 2. That'd be the
So what
best
makes the
Pokemon game
soundtracks?
I can
So what
recommend.
makes the soundtrack so dope?
So it's very upbeat. So it has this dun, 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 dun,
Or
dun,
like the
and it
techno
gets you,
feel?
yeah, it gets you hyped.
Okay,
It gets you
okay,
hyped
okay.
wanting to fight. You know
Right,
what I'm
right,
saying?
right,
But you
right.
realize that the opposite thing, is that I might die in this battle. That's how the music is. So
Okay.
I recommend Gen
So
5.
so that's what you would recommend for a beginner.
Yep,
Gen
for a
5?
beginner.
Okay.
Yep, Gen
So
5.
so for a person that would consider themselves a seasoned expert, what kind of game would you recommend for that person?
I probably will recommend Pokemon Coliseum. Actually, it's an older game,
Hmm.
but it had a lot of difficulty in it. You know what I'm saying? There was this fisherman guy, and the way you had to beat him was no, actually not Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD, Coliseum XD, and it had plenty of difficulty in it, being that you had to catch the shadow Pokemon, purify them while fighting them at the same time. So if you're a seasoned player, which is the older game that came on the 64, I'll recommend that game.
Wow, sounds like you have to be on some Jedi type shit,
You
in
really
that
have to.
series.
You really
You
have to.
know, that's crazy,
Yep.
man. So how do you usually build a team? Like do you build it by like balance type favorites, who's strongest, statistics, like what do you get?
So when I play a Pokemon game, especially for the first time, when I have to do my business, I like
Mhm.
to have fun and not take it as serious. So I like to find, my favorite
See,
Pokemon,
that would be
Pokemon.
my problem. That'd be my problem right off the bus. I'm
Yeah,
I'm
see,
ultra competitive, and that I
yeah, yeah.
don't. Yeah, I gotta have mine.
So, but if I'm, building a team for competitive, I like to focus on creating the balanced roster with diverse coverage.
Okay.
These factors might include like speed control, offensive power, defensive capabilities, and then you have to research the current meta to identify strong Pokemon and their strategy.
So there's real actual tactics that go into
Yes,
thought, about putting a team
yes,
together, because you have to think about weaknesses, counter weaknesses,
right,
counter advances, right?
right,
Kind of like putting together a team, but at the same time, you're going to war,
right,
right?
right. So you have something called EVs and IVs, which is effort values, individual values. You can look at, EVs as lifting weights. You see what I'm saying?
Okay,
Lifting weights.
okay.
And
Mhm.
then you can look at IVs as something you're born with, your genetics,
Right.
and those are displayed in numerical stats. So
Got
that's
you.
one thing to look at when building your competitive team.
So what's the toughest battle, that you ever faced being a Pokemon player? Because I understand, from watching, some kids, taking it as seriously as they do, I'm thinking to myself like, okay, like, how intense is this, man, and how difficult does it become?
So it is really difficult, especially when the game creators, make a character have the same competitive move sets you find in competitive Pokemon. Anybody that knows me knows that I have these like vendettas of video game characters in the space.
Vendettas.
One, yes, yes.
Oh,
So
okay, okay, okay.
it's more like they keep appearing in certain games. So is this one character named Cynthia? She's the Sinnoh region's champion, and this is Gen 4, Gen 5. Her name is Cynthia. She will always be the hardest battle in my personal opinion. For example, there was a remake of Diamond and Pearl called Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and her whole team carries, held items, is fully EV'd and IV trained. She has a fairy, steel, and dragon core, which is arguably, better than the fire, water, and grass core. Like, that was the hardest. Cynthia is the hardest Pokemon battle ever in any game.
So, okay. So what season of Pokemon anime is the best for you? Because I love anime, man. Like I really, really do. And I'm talking about for me, we're going back to like '93 with like Ninja Scroll,
Oh,
Devilman.
Ninjas!
You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
So
gosh, Ninja Scroll was fire.
yeah, yeah, that was it. That was it. That was it for me. As soon as I
That
saw
Ninja Scroll.
that, you know what I mean? What's
Uh,
your favorite Pokemon movie?
My favorite Pokemon, of course, is Mewtwo. You know it's
Movie,
Mewtwo.
movie,
Movie.
movie.
So, movie is actually, you know, Mewtwo, Pokemon the first movie. And this, really captures Mewtwo, as a being, as an individual, you know. So basically, Mewtwo was, created by these scientists,
Hmm.
using Mew's DNA. He destroys the facility once he realizes that the scientists don't have a disregard for his life or who he is. He's merely looked at as an experiment. So Mewtwo destroys the whole lab, you know. And then soon he's picked up by Giovanni, which is, a gym leader. And, he manipulates Mewtwo into working for him. But Mewtwo finally, rebels and escapes. Seeking revenge on humanity, Mewtwo, lures trainers through an invite, including, Ash, and his companions, Misty and Brock. You know,
Hmm. Hmm. I
Mewtwo
remember those guys.
eventually, yeah, yeah, Mewtwo in the movie that I will never forget, and I carry it with me, till this day. Mewtwo says the circumstances of one birth is irrelevant. It is what you do with the gift of life that determines who you are. And ever since then, ever since I seen that, I always carry that with me. That's how I try to treat people every day of my life.
That is good ledge. That is very good ledge. Absolutely. So check it, check it. I'm gonna run some fun and wild thoughts. All right,
Okay. All right.
cool. So if a Pokemon could be real, right?
Right.
Which one would you want to be your partner in a battle?
Charmander.
Charmander. That's
Charmander.
the one that like
Matter of
shoots
fact,
fire out
not
of his
just
ass, right?
Charmander. Well, he got a fire on his tail.
Yeah.
but yeah, a shiny Charmander to be more specific. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would be my
Okay,
homie. That
okay.
would be my little homie, man.
All right, okay. So what would you want to do if you were a gym leader?
So what I want to do as a gym leader, I probably host battles. You know, I really probably would terrorize trainers. I'll probably terrorize trainers and
Yeah, it
ask them to
does
battle
sound
me
like you.
all the time. Yeah, don't
Sounds just like his ass. Jesus Christ. All right,
it?
so yo, fusing two Pokemon together. You only got two.
Only
You
got
only
two,
got
right?
two.
All right. I only got two. Um, Let me get Machamp, right? Machamp and Mewtwo. So Machamp is basically, a fighting type Pokemon, and he got like 6 arms, no 4 arms. Merge it with Mewtwo, you got your special attacker and your physical attacker all in the same go.
Dr. Octopus Pokemon.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
That's some shit. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's crazy. Um, okay, so when you're doing this, right? And
Right,
you notice that, there's an opportunity here to make a coin, right?
right.
How did you get started, with the online business?
So this is kind of diving, and I don't mind talking about it. This is kind of diving into, some personal things that happened to me over the years, but this was actually an idea I had with, my ex-spouse. Um, so this was at the time where e-commerce was on the rise. And first I tried this company called MCA, which really didn't pan out too well. And I realized if I'm gonna do something that, is gonna be online, I just have something I'm passionate about. You know, I started researching and researching and researching. And I was actually in the studio one day with one of my coworkers. And let me mind you, at a certain point in time, we know of them, but I'm not going to mention any names. I was told to actually stop playing Pokemon at one time. And being the fact that I'm younger, I really don't know too much. So I just put it to the side. Remember, like it was yesterday, you know, I gave all my games away, my Game Boy at the time, and I stopped playing Pokemon. So I'm at the studio with my producer at one point. This is around about 2013, 2014. He was like, D, you don't play Pokemon? Because he, as I got in there, he was sitting there playing the game. I was like, what? And I was like, no, I stopped playing Pokemon a long time ago. He was like, man, this new Pokemon X and Y came out, and I'm watching him play it, and I grabbed his DS, and I start playing. I'm like, man, this junk is fire. He was like, man, you should get back into it. So I was scraping pennies together, got me a DS, and started playing Pokemon X and Y. And as I'm starting, I'm like, man, this is fire. I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm gonna do. So I grabbed every system and Pokemon game before Gen 6 and started playing them again. I played every single main series story up to Gen 6. So as I got this idea, I'm like, how do I do this? So I started on eBay and Etsy at one point. And after I kind of got a handle on what should be done, how I should do it, I started creating my website. And I created my website in 2017. So at
What's that
that
website?
point, so my website is called Pokemon Forever, www.pokemonforever.org, right? And what you're going to find on this website is something that, everybody, can utilize. What I offer is custom bundles, Pokemon bundles, and individual Pokemon as well. With these custom bundles, you can, design your Pokemon, competitively with IVs, EVs, held items, obtainable stats. Pokemon bundles are more utilized for different forms, starter Pokemon, and anything you want in between. Event Pokemon as well. And individual Pokemon are your singles that you can buy to try to fill out your Pokedex.
Got you, yo. So if somebody was trying to get themselves started in this, like how much upfront capital would they be looking at, in order to get themselves moving in this online e-commerce business for Pokemon?
If you want to, well, I'll start off with at least, the current systems, 2 systems, as you can see right here, I have some right in front of me. So I would start off with at least 2 of these, and a computer, and that's it. That's
So
all you
what are
need.
the other ones that you have here? I see a yellow one and a peach one. What do you got
Well,
going on here?
well, here's how we, how I categorize them. So,
Okay.
in a certain aspect, let me go ahead and grab these here. I utilize, for example, I'll have two switches just for level 1 or baby Pokemon. So I'll set those to the side. I'll have two switches designated to evolved forms, evolved Pokemon. I'll have two switches, only dealing with legendaries. I'll have these two here, that are dealing specifically with, Pokemon bundles or custom bundles. So everything is I have at least two switches categorized for, certain things that I offer. You know, that's how I, separate things and make things have more organization.
Interesting. Very interesting,
Yeah,
my brother.
yes,
So,
sir.
what
So
other than the
otherwise,
website, do we have Instagram? Do we have, TikTok? How else can somebody else look at your stuff to find your portfolio, of what you would offer?
so you can find me better at Facebook, Pokemon Forever. So Pokemon, the number four, Eva, EVA. So I'm gonna say it again. On Facebook, you can find me at Pokemon Forever, Pokemon, the number four, EVA, Eva, on Facebook. And you can also contact me on my business number as well, 252-515-2159. I am happy to help you at any time I'm awake.
Great kid, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very proud of him. I couldn't be more proud of him for what he's accomplished, man, because I understand the things that he's dealt with, gone through, resurfaced from. And it's not a rose from concrete because the brother's always been a tree. So he just needed to replant himself. Good job, man. Good
Thank you
job, little
very much,
brother.
big brother. I
Thank
appreciate
you
it
for
so
being
much.
on the show. Yo, if you want to come, if you want to be a guest on the Willy Bobo show, of course, hit me up on Facebook at Hakeem Green. Of course, you know how it goes. Check me out on my Instagram. You can see me here and also on my TikTok, man. Yo, like, subscribe, holla at your boy. Peace.